Hi, I'm Kelsey Law with Soccer One, and I am here with Randy Waldrum of the Houston Dash. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Great. How are you feeling going into tomorrow's draft?
A little anxiety. It almost feels like going into a game again, but really excited about it. It should be a fun time, and I think the draft here at the convention brings a lot of excitement to not only the fans but to the coaches around the country. So it should be a good time.
You have 3 first-round draft picks tomorrow. What is your strategy going into the draft with that?
Well, I think one of the things is we really need help in all of our lines. So I think starting with goalkeeper all the way to the front line. So, we were able to secure 3 picks through some trades that we've made. And we felt it really important that we have the opportunity to address as many of those needs as we can. And I think a little bit will depend on how those first few picks play out, because we have number 5, 6, and 8.
Right.
So depending on how those first 4 picks will give us a little bit better idea of, plan B or plan C, depending on what's taken in front of us.
So going into the season, how do you develop players on the professional level versus when you were a coach at Notre Dame and working with those players on a collegiate level?
Well, the biggest difference, I think, is that, under the NCAA, you're limited by the number of hours you can train and develop. So a lot more training at the collegiate level was done team-oriented or group-oriented because of the limitations. So you had to maximize getting a lot of players in at one time because you were limited in the hours. Here at the professional level, you don't have that hour limitation.
Right.
You can pretty much during the season have them as long as you want. So it's a lot more individual development time. So you do your team training, but then you've got time either before or after practice. You can stay with individual players and work on their games. You can study video as much as you want. So just that time restriction, that 20 hours a week versus an unlimited time frame. Now we've got some off-season restrictions that we can't coach our players. I think that's something the league needs to take a look at, because that's 6 months of a year that they're out there either playing for somebody else or they're having to run their own off-season program. But at least the time that we do have them, we've got more time with them.
Right. And there are 2 big players coming out of Notre Dame into this year's draft, Katie Naughton and Carri Lloyd. How do you see them fitting in?
I think they're both going to go fairly high. I think Carri is one of the top 5 players, probably 6 players coming out, and I think Katie in my mind could fit anywhere from that second half of the first round into the second round. I think they're both quality players. The good thing is I know them both real well, right, and recruited them both, and they had great careers there at Notre Dame. And it's a pretty top-heavy though draft this year with defenders, and they both play in those spots, even though Carri can play in multiple places. So it'll be a little bit interesting to see how they actually fall, because I think there's 8 or 9 good backs coming out this year.
Right, and you coach Carli Lloyd, who is the best player in the world.
Right.
How do you help a player like that to continue to develop and grow? She is obviously at the top of her game.
Yeah. I think the one thing that makes Carli special is she's not full of herself with all the accolades that have come her way. And she's the ultimate pro in terms of, if you come out and watch training, she's working as hard, if not harder, than anybody. She'll stay after and get extra work in all the time. So she continues to try to grow her craft. I think one of the things she'd be the first to tell you is that she's not the most skillful player. She more grinds it out and has this heart that says, I just refuse to lose. Right. So she's very open to continuing to work to improve her technique and her skill level, which is unusual when you think about she is the best player in the world, right, according to what's the award she just won. So I think she's a great lesson to young players that you're never too good to continue to work at your craft. So it's really a pretty easy thing to coach her. She's very open and receptive to coaching.
Well, and I'm sure you're lovely to work with as well. So
well,
it's a good...
some may argue with that at times, so it depends on the day.
That's part of being a coach, right?
That's right, that's right.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck to you all tomorrow. We're excited to watch how that pans out for you guys.
Okay, great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.